Hello and welcome to another episode of the Yo DNB Raps podcast. Today we've got a very special guest all the way up from Saltburn-on-Sea. Is that right?
Saltburn by the sea.
Saltburn by sea. It's Liam Laverick, aka Lemmy Dubz. Liam, how you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm all right. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Sun is shining today, and I got the brand new Dirtbox basketball jerseys on. These will be going on sale very soon. Check that out.
Looking good.
Looking good. Yeah. You're in your nice designer clobber. You're wearing this just for me today, Liam.
maybe. Don't expose it.
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, thank you very much for your time today. I've been really looking forward to getting this on with you, doing the interview and having a chat about what's going on in the Lemmy Dubz world.
Oh, yeah, I've been excited, man. It's been a while since I've done anything like this, and I think it's going to be exciting. We've got a lot of topics to talk about, haven't we?
Yeah. We did a little bit of prep before the show just to kind of see where we're going to go with this. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk about some of these things today. So I'm going to get straight into one question that I've been wanting to ask you for ages. What the fuck is a Lemmy Dubz? Is it? I'm going to hazard a guess here. Is it like Lemmy Winks off South Park with a gerbil that goes up Paris Hilton's arsehole?
So, do you know what's his face? Blackley thought the same thing, and it actually is. It's now to do with South Park. So, I unfortunately not know, but like I totally get why.
I thought this was some weird fetish of yours that you wanted to crawl up Paris Hilton's backside or something like that. So you actually focused your whole DJ career on it.
Do we end it now? Because you've exposed me. Should we just end it now? No. But So basically, where the name came from, like when I was a kid, maybe like 10, 11 years old, I used to do a chant, and the chant just went like this. It was Lem 2910. You know, meant nothing, but it rolled off the tongue. But anyways, like Lem 2910 became Lemmy, and then my friends caught onto it in school. And then, like, even when I was playing games, my name would always be Lemmy 2910. And then that's just kind of just stuck with me. And then I remember when I first started getting into like making dubstep and stuff like that. At first, it was DJ Lemmy, but then I had a conversation with one of my good friends called Skint Disco, and he was just like, "Oh, DJ Lemmy sounds a bit like too, I don't know, it doesn't really fit dubstep." At the time, and I was like, okay, I get that. So then it was just kind of just a basic switcheroo of the names, and I was just like, oh, well, Lemmy Dubz makes sense. So it's just, yeah. Oh, sorry, but I was just gonna say, like, but yeah, like Lemmy is a nickname that I still get called today. So it's just something I thought would naturally fit into a DJ name.
There is other famous Lemmys as well. There's Lemmy from Motorhead as well, isn't there? The singer.
There is.
Yeah. So it's definitely following a good musical path. Then I guess Paris Hilton's a DJ as well. You could say that.
True.
Now. So there's a lot of relevance to that. Let's just hope you don't want to be climbing up her arsehole though. That's the one we want to avoid.
There is a lot of interesting history behind the Lemmys. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. I see you're a bit of a collector as well in the background there. We've got some Funkos and things like that. Is that all your collection? Are you well into those things?
Yeah, I was more into it back in college, but like I still get a few things now and again, but there's just loads of nostalgic stuff up there from when I was a kid. So like there's all my Bionicles up there. I've kept them all because I'll never get rid of them. And there's, you know, a few Funko Pops, like you say. There's a Left 4 Dead Boomer up there, some Halo stuff. Yeah, just a few items up there that I'll probably never get rid of.
Fair play, mate. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm a bit of a collector as well. So
I was going to say, to be fair, you have got a hecking amount of shoes in the background.
Let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? But now there's a few Funko Pops there, but they're not, I wouldn't say they're massively rare. They're just things that meant a lot to me as a child. So I've got He-Man, I've got Batman, I've got Marty McFly, and I've got my favourite basketballer, Sean Kemp. From when I
love that. That's class. I love that you were doing what everyone should be doing with them Funko Pops and keeping them in the box as well.
Yeah. I ain't gonna play with them, am I? So
no, I just when I've been around other people's houses before, I've seen like people like with them out the box, and I'm just like, oh no, the value it's gone in the future.
I think if you double up on them though, I think it's okay to maybe have one out, one in. Because I do that with some shoes. I've got some shoes still box. I've got double pairs of the shoes and things like that. So
Yeah,
I think when you get a double, it's okay to do that generally.
yeah, that's true. I guess that's true.
So let's talk about where you're from then, Liam. So you're all the way from Middlesbrough originally then. What was it like growing up in Middlesbrough then as a young child?
Well, it was good. Like, I mean, I'll be honest. I was born in Middlesbrough, but then for about 2 years of my childhood, I lived somewhere called Carlinau, which is like another kind of small seaside town near Saltburn. But then after them 2 years, me and our mum then moved to Saltburn, and then pretty much after that 2 years, then we've lived here all our lives. Like, I had a bit of a hiatus when I went to Leeds for a year, but apart from that, Saltburn's just been the home, and it's lovely growing up around here. There's so many lovely walks you can go on, especially for getting samples and that when I'm on the walks, and it's just, I don't know, it just seems like one of them places where it proper feels homely and it proper feels safe, sort of thing.
Okay, and that's
And
why you probably moved to like Saltburn just for the more visual then, I guess, outside of the city.
yeah, see what I thought when I lived in Leeds was, so when I moved back here, it was like I like knowing that Saltburn's going to be my home base when I'm going to all these places. So like rather than living in Leeds and visiting Saltburn, I'd much rather it be the other way around every time. So it's like nice doing these like gigs or going to see people, doing these long distance travels, knowing that I'm coming back here, sort of thing.
Mm.
So yeah, very much home.
Are you in Saltburn on your own then? Are your family back in Middlesbrough, or did you all move over to that area?
So I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I live with our mum currently, and I live with my two brothers as well. So that they're upstairs, I'm in here, and yeah. So, but it's a lovely family like environment sort of thing. Like, we all bounce off each other. All of us are pottering about, providing in the house and that. Yeah, I love it here, man. I really do. Count my lucky stars. Uh-huh.
So you've got a very good family dynamic then, haven't you? You say you got two siblings as well. Are
Yeah.
you the youngest, or where do you fit into that?
No, I'm the oldest.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're looking up to you a little bit then.
Yeah, I guess especially in like the past 2 years, my brothers, they were never really into like heavy bass music and stuff like that. But I think when them two started going to like more festivals, and obviously drum and bass being quite popular, drum and bass, you can hear it at pretty much any festival nowadays. So they went to go like check it out because of just hearing it constantly coming out of my bedroom. And I think hearing it constantly coming out of my bedroom and then going to these festivals, they've slowly like attuned to it. So yeah, it's nice to see. I love it.
As your mum or your siblings, have they questioned your name as well, like I have?
No, to be honest, because like I said, Lemmy 2910 was something I used to chant when I was a baby. So even our mum and my brothers have called me Lemmy as I've grown up as well. Liam's just kind of like formalities or when I'm being told off. It's only when Liam gets used now.
Yeah, so it stuck then really for you. It made perfect sense to use it as a name, didn't it?
Yeah, totally.
What do they think of the music then, your siblings and your mom?
So, at first it was like it's just like the stereotypicals of just like, oh, this is just noise. Why aren't you making, I don't know, like house or something like that? And I was just like, it's just, I don't know, because my friends used to do it as well, like come in and say like, oh, you should be making big room and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't want to. I want to make all these horrible noises. And at first they were like, they just didn't get it, which is understandable. It is very obnoxious music. But like I say, as years gone by and they seen me like doing things because of it, I think there was like then that greater appreciation for it. However, though, it is still, how Mum always says, as much as I totally get it now, it is so annoying when I'm listening to like a 2-bar loop for about like an hour, and I'm like, sorry about that, I know, but it needs to be done. I need to get these snares right.
Oh, I know that feeling. I had a similar dynamic when I was growing up. I lived with my mom and dad and my younger sister, and
Yeah.
I shared a bedroom with my sister up until I'd say I was about 13, 14. And then what I decided to do is to move to my grandparents. It was only like 10 doors away on the same street. But when I was at my grandparents, I had 2 bedrooms all to myself. They were a bit older, so they were a bit harder hearing. And that was about the time that I got into DJing as well. So I was constantly just 12 hours a day, just mixing and playing tunes. And I never got told off because they couldn't really hear it.
Yeah.
We were downstairs. But yeah, they were very supportive of it. But like my mom and dad didn't have to put up with that, thankfully, for them.
No, totally. It's one of them ones, isn't it, where like when you get that sort of appreciation from your family and stuff like that, it does feel good. But I think you would know this week. I think with myself, I do have that self-awareness where, like, as much as I do love this, I also know that it is pretty annoying for the outside person listening to these raggy noises. So I do get it, but hopefully you can get it on my end too. Like,
that's the hard bit, isn't it? Trying to convince them to see your side of it, really. So
yeah. But it's sound now. It's all right.
So they are they are quite supportive of your music career. Then your family, they're really you're on it nowadays.
Totally, man. I've said before, one of my first like big experiences with my family supporting me was when I had my first gig when I was 16, and I had a gig in Birmingham, and I got booked down there. And obviously with me, well, 1 being my first gig and 2 not having a clue how bookings worked, I was just like, someone wants to book me, I need to get down there, doesn't matter how, sort of thing. So I remember just going up to our mum, I was like, Mum, can you drive me to Birmingham, please?
Oh dear.
And she was like, why? And she was like, oh, I've got an opportunity to play a gig. And normally, like, your parents would be like, absolutely not. But she was kind of like, you know what? If it's a big opportunity, we'll go. Do you want to bring your friends? And brought my friends down. And it was good. The lineup was it was quite nice at the time as well. It was like I think it was like Shivers and the Aliens UK and stuff like that. Loads of cool like dubstep artists. And but our poor man, bless her, she slept in the car park outside and waited for me to finish my set. And like,
fair play
so like, honestly, fair play to her. She is like dead supportive.
What year was that then when you was up here in Birmingham for the first time?
Oh, let's do some mental maths here. 16. It would have been around 2013, 2014.
Oh, right. Okay. So quite early on then.
Yeah.
I've been in Birmingham then. Yeah. So I'm obviously living in Birmingham. I moved here about 2005 when I moved to Birmingham, 2006. But what night was it that you played for?
It was I remember the venue. It was Suki 10C.
Oh wow, yeah, good old Dave Whittle, Boogie Dave. Shout out to Dave if you're watching.
Shout out Dave.
I actually saw Dave when I played at the Amalki gig last week in Sutton Coldfield on the outskirts of Birmingham. So
no way.
Was it a pure dubstep night or drum and bass night? What was it?
So the first night I played for that was a mixture of, it was jump up and dubstep, but it was primarily dubstep. But then I remember he got me down for a second night because of that night, and that one was purely just dubstep. But it was all like UK rhythm DJs, and like at the time, like I mean, I still love it now, but at the time I was well into it, and seeing them DJs live, like when I was like 16 going on 17, and then playing amongst it as well was absolutely mad, to be fair, at the time. But yeah, no, like you say, mate, shout out Boogie Dave. It's been a while.
yeah. Like I say, I've seen him last Friday. Unfortunately, he lost. He had a big venue last year called the Tea Works, a big outdoor venue, but unfortunately they've lost that now. But thankfully, Suxton Stee is still going strong. And
good. I'm happy to hear that. I love that venue. To be fair, he smashed it inside. It looks really good.
When it's full, it's absolutely banging in there, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So just going back a little bit again, then before we get on to talking about the gigs, obviously you mentioned that before your move to Saltburn, you started uni. Is that right? Or was that after you'd moved to Saltburn?
Pardon me. Yeah, I moved to Leeds for uni in it would have been 2017. And I lived there for about just over a year. But unfortunately, I did my first year at uni there, but then I didn't complete it, and then came back to Teesside, and then finished off my degree there. However, though, that 1 year in Leeds, like I met a lot of people, and I got a lot of opportunities there. Like I didn't go into halls. I moved straight in with some people that I knew, and they were like my friends, but they also at the time were like kind of like my management too, like early days and that. So like being in the same house together, we got like quite a few things done, and a lot. They gave me my first international shows in there as well. So yeah, I've got a lot to thank for those housemates in Leeds, to be honest, and everyone that I met there too. As much as it was hard, I'm glad I did it for all them like contacts and experiences. Really, really good.
Are you still studying the same thing as when you started as well?
Oh, I've finished uni now. I got my grades like last year. I got first.
Excellent, well done, mate. What were you studying?
I was just doing music tech.
Music tech. And was the purpose of that to obviously get yourself up in the dubstep and drum and bass scene? Was it having a focus to have a career in doing this stuff, what you're doing now, or has that led to this? How did it go?
So, not really, to be honest. Strangely, the reason I got into music tech was because I wanted to lean into different things within music. Because when I started university, I was already quite good at sound design. Like I could do a lot of things confidently. I'm definitely not saying that I didn't learn it. I learned a lot at uni. But I was already quite capable of using the DAW and working my way around it. What I really wanted to get into with doing music tech was doing sound for moving image in games. And we did a little bit of that at the final year, and I did all right with it. I got a first with my game audio, but yeah, I still need to try and get something sorted with that, because really, ultimately, as much as I love doing this, I love making dubstep and all that. The end goal would be doing sound for moving image of games, because I love doing stuff like that.
That's where the money is, Liam, as well. If you're doing music for games, movies, TV shows, things like that, you start looking at earning that Hans Zimmer money. That's what you want.
100%. Like, who is it that told me? Like, I don't know how true this is, but in like some AAA companies, I think they pay you by the minute for OSTs. So that's why like some of these OSTs are like 13 minutes long. So I'm just like, oh well, yeah, I can see how once you started getting regular with that, you'd be making money. Yeah, I say all this though, like money's mint in that, but like I just love making stuff like this. Like I was having a similar conversation with someone earlier about like transactions and that, and I was like, I'm not bothered about it too much, me man. I just love doing this sort of thing.
Have you submitted any music for movies or games or anything like that yet?
I did. I did one that unfortunately I can't talk about. But that was pretty good. It was for some idea that they were going to do on TikTok, but unfortunately that's all I can say on that one.
So it's still in hand. There's potentially something that's going to be happening then.
I'm trying to think. No, sorry. That one, I sent them demos, and unfortunately, they didn't fit it. But like, even after, I still can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But that was still cool to do, though. That was still cool to give it a go and like be amongst it a little bit. But like, what I've done before in the past for uni is I've got like a lot of video clips of games, like gameplay videos, and then I've like remixed the sound over it. And I've got a big folder of like UI sound effects that I did for uni, and like weapon sounds for guns and stuff like that. The only thing that I wish they taught us was how to use music like sequencing software in terms of like using Fmod and Wise. because we totally missed that. We were doing the sound design aspect for it, but we weren't then taught how to implement it into a game, which is something that always annoys me about that course. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they always say that though, don't you? When you're learning, it's never the practical of what you're actually going to need. It's kind of giving you the basics around it, isn't it? We've all complained about stuff at school that we never needed. Do you know what I mean? I mean, half of the math stuff used at school, you never even need.
Oh, totally. Wait, I can't even say. I was going to say Pythagoras theorem. Yeah, I didn't want to butcher it.
You're going to go shopping. You're going to go down Asda, and you're going to need a Pythagoras theorem. Yeah, of course you are.
2 minutes. Let me pull out my protractor before I do this transaction. It's like.
So talking about obviously school as well. I mean, what music were you into when you were at school? What were you listening to? What were your mates pushing on?
So in the early days, I was very much into like ridiculously heavy metal.
We've all had that phase, I think.
I think so. I mean, I still do love it, but like, yeah, it's definitely been pushed into the background a bit. But I'm talking like grindcore and porno grind and stuff like that, and all that stuff. And
right.
So like, I'm trying to think of examples. There was a band that I really liked and still kind of liked now. Called Volvodnia or something like that. But they're just
I wouldn't know any grindcore names. I was actually speaking on the last interview with Beskar about grindcore because we had this similar conversation into heavy metal and stuff like that. And I actually discovered grindcore at like some after parties getting smashed. Somebody started putting it on, and it was a grindcore remix of "I Like to Move It, Move It." Because I like my grindcore. I like my grindcore.
It's just
yeah. So that was my one and only experience of grindcore. I didn't really come across it when I was at school, but I did like heavy metal. But mine, like I have said this before, I went into like Guns N' Roses and things like that. And Ugly Kid Joe and Green Jelly and.
I get that. More like indie sort of rock, and I say this. I don't want to say this in a condescending way, but it's like dad rock.
Yeah,
like, yeah,
more so that. So apart from that, then what other kind of experiences do you have in music before you came on to dubstep? Was there any others?
So in school, I played the drums quite a lot, and I still can play the drums quite well. And but yeah, in school I used to sit in that music practice room and just drum after school, and because they'd never let me in there during the day because obviously lessons and then paperwork, they didn't want me disturbing them. So it was always after school they'd let me go on the drums. And then I used to I'm saying used to a lot. I still can, like I play the keyboard at school as well. Again at school and leading into college as well. I used to enter a lot of talent shows because I can beatbox. So I used to do beatboxing and stuff in school as well. So like music is something that's like kind of always been there. It was just, making that transitional leap into kind of making it in DAWs and stuff like that. So it's always been there with me, yeah.
Drop a beatbox for us, Liam. Let's hear what you got.
Oh, let's see if the mic quality will allow it. Hang on. Let me see if I can think of something. Put me on the spot now. Yeah. Let me think.
Oh, it's not coming through. It's not coming through. Oh no.
No. Well, just for the viewers at home, there was some absolute fire coming out there.
all we saw just then was that's all we could see.
Good thumbnails, maybe.
Yeah, good thumbnails for it. But funny you should mention that. I mean, I've had a lot of experience in and around beatboxes. This is where we got the Dirtbox name from.
Nice.
For the label. So back in 2010, we were running an event called Raw. We still do run an event called Raw in Birmingham. And we booked Reaps One, world champion beatboxer. And he turned up to one of the events with his DJ, Captain Crunch, who does all the beat juggling, plays dubstep and drum and bass. And they did a bit of a live show, which was him beatboxing to the DJ, and they were like mixing into each other, the DJ and the beatboxer. And I was like, that's fucking good, that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And at the time, he wasn't really pushing it. It was just something he did for a couple of gigs that he turned up with.
Yeah.
And I somehow got in touch with just randomly around the same time, got in touch with a beatboxer called Grim from Birmingham. And we started doing that exact same thing at Raw. So there's a few sets of me and him doing the drum and bass dubstep. He beatboxes, I mix in, scratch over it and stuff like that. Yeah, it was like for us, it was something different because there's so many fucking drum and bass DJs in Birmingham and around the UK and around the world. We needed something a bit different, and we progressed it. We got better at it. I actually ended up with a different beatboxer, and how it all ended up was it was me DJing and doing live music. There was a beatboxer, we had an MC, and on some occasions we had a drummer as well. So we kind of created this whole live show called Dirtbox Live. And that's what that was.
Yeah.
We toured around. We played in America. We played in Poland, Czech Republic. We got really good with it, and it kind of helped me to make a name. And I kind of moved away from the UHF a little bit, and obviously started doing this. And then obviously this is where the name for the label came in, and we still are a group, but generally it's very hard to get everyone together. You know what I mean? Do something. So
it's the standards with having a band, isn't it? It's everyone's on different schedules and all that. Yeah,
that's it. So like around 2020, it kind of fizzled out. I started doing more gigs on my own. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, you know, relying on other people to do it. I speak to the beatboxer a lot, like Lee. There's another Lee as well, and we keep in touch. But he's got a family and that now, like I have, and
man,
kind of stopped doing it.
It sometimes happens. I think you see it a lot with groups that, I mean, especially now with like some of the drum and bass groups breaking up. That I think people do. Well, I think it's a factor of, you know, life developments with people. And then I feel like with some, but not all people, some people do naturally reach that point where they want to show themselves, isn't it? Sort of thing. Not in a selfish sense, but it's like, okay, we've had a great time, but I kind of want to show people what I can do too, sort of thing. And I think it's a combination of both, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'd definitely do it again, but there's a lot of work that goes into, you know, having a drummer, a beatboxer, and a DJ together. It is a lot of work, and we were getting too many gigs. And kind of, you know what I mean? You can't prep all these gigs. Not everyone can show up. So we should have really done it a bit more sparse than what.
Totally.
You know,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like a DJ gig, is it, man? With a DJ gig, you turn up your headphones and USBs and you're sorted. Whereas that, you're gonna have to bring a whole van full of equipment. And when you're getting consistent gigs like that, I can imagine it getting bloody tiring. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of rough ones when we didn't get to sound check and things like that. So, kind of fizzled out of that. So obviously, anybody watching today, if you know any good beatboxers, put the link in the comments. Let's have a look at what you've got. Let's see your own actions. And another thing as well, has anybody else heard of grindcore? So if you're listening to grindcore music, put me some links to some good grindcore in the comments, because like I said, my only experience with it has been I like to move it bootleg.
The more horrible, the better as well.
Yeah, get them in the comments below. So we've touched on some of your DJing and the first time you played in Birmingham. You've done plenty of gigs from what I can see. A lot of traveling as well, especially in Belgium for places like Skank and Bass, Invaders, and Critical. Tell me a little bit about these gigs.
Yeah, so like I'll tell you about well, the first Belgium gig I got was for a couple guys. I think the brand was called Nemesis. That was it, and we did a Reload takeover because at the time I with my housemates in Leeds, they owned a label called Reload Records. So we did a takeover over there, and honestly, like it was for something that I wanted to do for a very long time. It was surreal finally going over there and performing. However, though, that was like the first time. When I started getting those gigs you mentioned, like for Invaders, Criticals, and Skank and Bass, that's when it was like really settling in with me, where I'm like, okay, these are some big brands now, and it's mad that I'm going out to play for them. Like one of my most fondest memories was Invaders 2017 to 2018 for New Year's Eve, and I was in the second room for that, and that was the first time I dropped my track Aeon, which I think in my discography, like I think that's my most popular track, like as of today. But to drop that for the first time, not knowing what sort of, you know, positive repercussions it was going to have, it was surreal. I think the video's still on Facebook when I dropped it for the first time, and yeah, it's a really fond memory I have of that, because that was, I think that video, watching it back, when I watch it back, I was like, that's when things kicked off from that video. It's a nice memory. Criticals, I think that was the first time I played in Belgium for, like I say, like established brands, and that was a really, really good gig as well. That I can't remember if no, I didn't play back to back. Yeah, I have a really cool photo from that one, because I always, at the time, I just really wanted to like kind of cross off loads of DJ bucket lists, and then Skank and Bass. However, that was a really good gig, but that was the gig where I also decided not to drink as much anymore, because a lot of funny things happened at that event. I got very drunk, and I think some people stole my shoes, some people put ice in my shoes, the stereotypical drawings everywhere on my face, and that was a night to remember for a lot of right and wrong reasons.
Well, we've had a few of those, trust me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
are you liking touring? Do you generally like doing it, getting abroad?
I do. However, though, where I live, Saltburn, Middlesbrough sort of ways, it is an absolute nightmare for promoters to get me out of there. Like, so like, for example, you living in Birmingham, I could imagine it's, I don't want to say easy, but it's a lot easier to book a train, book somewhere to the airport sort of thing, because you're in a city. Whereas where promoters booking stuff for me here, it's just expensive, and it also gives me loads of like changes and stuff like that. It's an absolute nightmare to get to these gigs, but I say that I don't mind, because I kind of like the whole commute about it. It's exciting. It's an adventure sort of thing. Yeah,
I've always said that. I mean, there's a lot of stress in getting to the airport, and you're right. Living in Birmingham, it's definitely a lot easier. I mean, I can get 2 trains to Paris from where I live, literally just outside, and then but yeah, I mean, like I find traveling and flying to a gig, I find it very therapeutic. Once I've got through security, like everything just simmers down for me, like everything, like, and I get excited. I'm on the flight, got my laptop, get record box open, get Ableton open on my laptop, gin and tonic, couple of nice cookies, and oh mate, I'm in my element in flying. I love that part of it. But you're right, it's definitely the leave the house, get to the airport, get through security. Once that bit is done, I'm all over it. Over it. I would definitely say that flying for a gig, I prefer playing abroad than I do playing in the UK. 100%.
Yeah, same. I absolutely agree with that. 100%. Like, I agree with the other half as well, because I get quite anxious with traveling. As much as I say it's an adventure and stuff like that, it does make me quite anxious sometimes. To the point, it's a positive and a negative though, because of me feeling like that sometimes, it makes me get to places ridiculously early, which is a detriment of mine sometimes, because I'll be sat there, but like, right, well, I'm here now, and I've got 3 hours to kill. But I think it is a positive as well, because I kind of make sure I'm never late now. Never late. I've never been late before, but I think it's literally because of that.
Well, for me, between 2010 and 2019, I missed 16 flights, and that's out of around, I think that's around about 60. So I missed 16 out of 60 flights across across that time. So yeah, that's and you'd think it was being late. I can't lie. Maybe a couple of them were definitely late, but the reason they were late is I've got some crazy excuses. Car broke down on the motorway, and we had to run down the motorway, leaving the car to get to the airport to catch the flight.
My days.
We went to the wrong airport, in the middle of the night. My mate was driving and he took us to Luton instead of Stansted. So we've done that before. I was rushing out the house, fell down the stairs and sprained my ankle. That's one reason that I've done that. Rushing to get to the taxi. I fell asleep at the airport, missed the flight. I've been in a taxi that crashed on the way to the airport in Seattle to get back to the UK, and I missed my flight home from Seattle.
No way.
Mate, I have got a diary of who's who, what's what when it comes to missing flights. So I'm with you. Since 2019, I will literally get to the airport a fucking day early. I will I'll go to a hotel for the night. I will not take any chances on that anymore.
Totally, though, man. I think you need these experiences, though, to completely learn from it, though. You really, really do.
Going back to Belgium, then, I mean, the guys in Belgium have really taken it to the next level over the last few years. I mean, I remember about 2016, there was a lot of jump up DJs from around the Birmingham area, like Filthy Habits, Rowney from Manchester. Some of those boys, shout out to Rowney and all that crew. They were regularly playing in Belgium. It's like there was almost like a massive surgence of UK jump up DJs going to Belgium, and it really took off from there. I mean, look at it now. They've got like Rampage, haven't they, and things like that. Yeah. Obviously, one of the biggest raves in the world, and I've had the pleasure of going to Rampage as well and playing a couple of free parties for that. But have you been to any of the bigger ones like that over there, or is it just usually the same promoters for you?
So I think in terms of like an abroad gig, I think the biggest gig I played abroad was, I'm just looking at the posters. I think it would have been, to be honest, man, I think it would have been a combination of a festival I've got there called Post-Estamikes, or probably that Invaders New Year's Eve, to be fair. They're probably the biggest that I've played over there. That Post-Estamikes one was crazy, though, because it was on a Red Bull stage. So that was really, really good. And it was like a small, intimate festival. There was 3 tents. There was the jump up drum and bass tent. There was like a chart music tent, which I thought was kind of wholesome. And then a complete 180. There was then like a hardcore and crossbreed industrial tent. And then, like, all the other drum and bass DJs were like, I'm going to go stay in a drum and bass tent. I was just like, are you really? I'm going to go in the hardcore and crossbeat tent. I'll admit. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is just an eclectic amount of stage. You never really get just those 3 stages, do you? Like, hardcore, drum and bass, and chant music. That's like something you'd think would be happening in Japan, isn't it? You'd see those kind of things in Japan.
It's so random, but I love the randomness of it. I'm just like, I loved it. Like, on my left ear, I can hear Katy Perry. And then on my over ear, I can hear gang, 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 gang. I think it's class.
Have you played any other strange and wonderful gigs that are quite different then? Because I know you've been out of Belgium, you've been to Hungary and things like that as well, haven't you?
Yeah, like I think I'm trying to think of like the most wildest one with loads of crazy peeps on the lineup was probably when I played at Balta in 2018. Do you know about Balta Festival?
Yeah, it's on at the moment this weekend, isn't it?
It starts tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. It's this weekend.
It's going to be. Unfortunately, I'm not going this year. But when I played last year, there was just so many crazy people on that lineup, like in a class sense. Like I'm looking at the poster now. Corn Sound were headlining one of the stages, and then all the like hardcore lot, like Igor. There was an Off Me Nut takeover, the DJ Hype, like just loads of just crazy sort of hardcore crossbreed sort of stuff, and like loads of like happy hardcore and all that stuff. See, like when it comes to like kick drums and stuff like that, I like the more industrial sounding stuff. We'll probably get onto that topic more so later. But yeah, like Balta would probably be the craziest thing I've played in terms of like a very varied lineup.
Yeah, would you say those are the probably biggest memories you've got that stand out then from Balta Festival and things
like I think more so because there's a big culture around Balta with all of my like friends up here up north, because especially at the moment, to be fair, because they've got there's a few of them that have got their own stage this year called Northern Embassy, where they just like showcase loads of northern talent, like all the Makina and Makina MCs and all that stuff like that. So there is a big culture behind it from us lot up here. So I have a lot of fond memories just playing up on stage and like seeing like pretty much 90% of the crowd being all the Borough lot. So it's nice, yeah.
Where's it actually based then, the Bolter Festival?
It's in Chepstow, South Wales.
Ah, yeah, I thought it was south.
And it's on a horse racing course.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Funny. I played at a race course before as well with DJ Fantasy and SAS. Yes, it was literally in the the tent bit where people would usually have the bar. They just had a rave there at the race course. That was a few years ago. Pretty crazy.
I love that. That sounds class. That.
Yeah, good. Funny enough, the same promoter put on a rave at a garden centre as well, and it was like the garden centre. It was in Leamington Spa, and it had it had like just like a jungle where you walk through like this weird jungle in the garden center thing, and there'd just be like a dubstep stage there. Then you go into the big building, the big glass house building, and there'd be plants everywhere, but it'd be the drum and bass stage. Like absolutely nuts.
That sounds nuts. That I love that though.
But you played in Hungary as well last year, didn't you? They've got some pretty cool venues over there. How was that for you?
That was good. The venue I played there was, I think it's called Analog Music Hall, and that was for Clay for his nappy jump up, and that was mint, to be honest, because in terms of playing abroad, I've only played in Belgium up until that point, where I've then played in Budapest, and that was class. Like Clay was really like, it was sound to me, and he was dead nice. We went and got food beforehand and stuff like that. And the gig was like the gig was class. I really enjoyed it as well, because it was frat dubstep versus nappy jump up. So there was two rhythm artists from the US there too. So I was like, I get to hear like some rhythm come out of big system. It's like far and few between that I get to hear it, and so I loved it for that. I was high-kneeing for hours, but But I think what's his face was there, Bad Phase. So it was good to see him again, yeah. And
that's Budapest, wasn't it? In Budapest.
Yeah, it was in Budapest. And like everyone there was dead friendly as well and stuff like that. And yeah, really good experience. It's a beautiful city as well. Beautiful, yeah.
100%. I love Budapest. I've only been there about 3 or 4 times. Every time was DJing as well, but I always spent the weekend there. I mean, from my experiences there, is like, if you're going on a bar crawl, it's the best place to go in the world, like, because
literally
all the bars are like every bar is like a crazy little cave underground, and there's like weird statues and lights that shine. That just venue, even the rave venues, they're literally, because there's a lot of like destroyed buildings, isn't there, around Budapest? But what they've managed to do is like turn that kind of ugliness into something really authentic and good. And like, all these kind of derelict buildings, they've just turned them into like bars and venues and things like that. So I've been in ones where it was like a mine shaft, and you go down this mine shaft and suddenly you were in a club, and you start from this derelict, so you go into the derelict building, all these walls falling, go down a mine shaft and you're in a club. So yeah, there's some crazy places there.
I really love quirky venues like that, to be honest. It needs to be more of them.
100%. Talking of quirky venues, June the 3rd, I'm actually playing for Neuroheads in Bristol, and they're putting an event on in an abandoned prison.
No way, really?
If you want to check it out, there's limited to 200 tickets. If you're watching this, get on it, because this is going to be absolutely insane. There's loads of promo vids on the Neuroheads socials as well to see it.
I was just going to say about that, I seen the promo video for that of like the guys in the prison, and I thought I love how like that they've smashed it.
That's it. I jump on event, even when I'm not playing. I jump on any events like that, because it's different, isn't it? It brings a different atmosphere. There's another level to it, isn't there? Not just the music.
It's immersive, isn't it? Really. It's dark, grungy music in a dark, grungy place. It is immersive. It's true to what's playing, sort of thing.
Yeah, like you said, with the festival, with the 3 random sounds, or even playing in a garden centre with myself, or on a race course. I mean, crazy things like that. I think I think for me at my age as well, that's what really makes me want to do gigs as well. It's got to be a bit of an experience and things like that.
Totally. It's kind of them sort of venues and them sort of gigs. It kind of falls into like, have you ever like sat and watched a zombie movie and thought like, I would love to like go into an abandoned mall and just like ride go-karts, you know, like them sort of zombie sort of fantasies like that. It's you kind of get that similar sensation playing these Qwerky gigs. Yeah.
I'm surprised there hasn't been any raves like that, because you can actually pay to go in abandoned malls and be chased by zombies, can't you? In some places in the UK.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, there's some of those.
I think there's one in Birmingham, isn't there?
I think there was. I think, yeah, you can definitely throw a rave in some of those. Absolutely.
No.
They'd go down well.
I love that. That'd be terrifying, but in all the best ways possible.
So, where you taking the sounds next then? Is there any more gigs abroad for 2023? What's coming up?
I'll be quite honest. Things are pretty dry at the moment. But that's because I know that I didn't do much last year. However, though, like I'm trying to proper put my foot on the gas this year. Like I'm releasing with you guys. I've just announced another release yesterday, and I had 3 other releases just gone to. So I'm trying to pump releases out and just kind of at the moment just being like, guys, this is Lemmy Dubz. Have a look, sort of thing. You know, I haven't just been quiet. I'm trying.
Your output this year has been amazing. I mean, you've had 5 releases already, haven't you? This year, that's pretty good going into it.
Oh, I'm pretty chuffed, to be honest, and like I'm pretty chuffed that I've like done it myself as well, because like I used to be part of an agency and used to have management and stuff like that. But that all went away like last year. So all these releases that have happened this year, like they've just been through me, just sending, or getting in contact or vice versa. So I'm chuffed, man. I'm chuffed. I'm trying, definitely.
Mate. So I mean, with the touring, I mean, one thing we've spoke about is, again, the anxiety of getting to the flight, but obviously the flowers you get when you're actually on. It can make or break you a lot touring. I mean, what bits of advice would you give people out there to keep your head straight? And if you are going to be flying abroad doing gigs for the first time, because you've done a fair bit of it in the last few years, Liam, what would you think are the main pointers that you'd give people for it?
So my main pointer would be, if you're, quite anxious and stuff like me, is just, even though if you're going to be waiting a long time, just get to places early, like, because even like I say, you'll be waiting there for a bit longer in that, but at least you can wait there anxious free, knowing that you've got loads of time to, either relax, you've got loads of time to make amendments if something does go wrong. You got lots of time to get food and stuff, like you've just got lots of time to sit and ponder and sort of relax about the situation. So I would say just get to places really early. I would say
prepare, isn't it? It makes it a far less stressful experience. So you heard it there first from the airport ninja, Lemmy Dubz, giving a bit of advice there. So with dubstep, would you ever consider doing those types of gigs? I mean, if you got a dubstep gig offered to you, would you do it, or are you fully focused on the DNB?
100%, I'd do a dubstep gig if I got it. 100%.
I'm quite surprised you haven't been booked to play in the USA in that sense. Have you had any thoughts about doing that, or looking to play across the pond in America?
If I ever got the opportunity to do it, I would jump at the chance.
It's the big sound out there. Every time I've gone over there playing, dubstep's the #1 sound over there.
Oh, especially in the last sort of 3 years, because I think rhythm dubstep has really come to the forefront in the US. It's always been there, but it's kind of rhythm dubstep in the US has kind of had a similar journey as to what drum and bass in the UK has, I think, in my opinion anyways. They're both very popular and they're both very normalized in their scenes now, which I think is great. I think, because considering like with jump up and like with rhythm, they are very loud, obnoxious genres, but they have got a lot of talent and creativity behind it, and I think people are starting to get more attuned to that, which is great, because it's noisy stuff, but it isn't just noise, and I think I don't know, I love that. But if I ever got an opportunity to go over there, man, I'd love it. Like I do speak to people from over there who produce dubstep, and I've been involved with labels in the past that have pushed that sound as well. And I still make dubstep. I make quite a lot of dubstep, to be honest. I just it just kind of sits on my PC. But I don't know. Yeah, any opportunities arise with that, I would jump at the chance, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's really taken off there, hasn't it, dubstep? I mean, if you remember when dubstep was huge in the UK up until like around 2012, it really took a landslide, didn't it? It just disappeared in 6 months. The events stopped being put on, and obviously it was around that time that the really harder Complextro Excision was blowing up. But then again, if you think what happened there, it's probably quite a good light that it shined on dubstep, or for those producers, because it got big in America around that time. And obviously gigs over there are much bigger than any of the dubstep gigs that was over here. I mean, the whole festivals are based around dubstep, aren't they? You know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like literally Lost Lands, that the festival that Excision puts on, I think pretty much 90% of that lineup's dubstep.
EDC
so,
as well. EDC and things like that. Yeah. So they obviously it kind of landed on its feet when it fucked up in the UK, didn't it? It really did.
They kind of took on that sort of like heavy sort of bro step sound, you know, and the whole bro step thing was quite popular for maybe like, you know, 2-3 years after 2012. And then that sort of bro step style then just kind of got dirtier and dirtier and dirtier until then most of the music was took out, which I say that isn't like a bad. I love it to bits.
I find it really strange that the general dubstep kind of veered off, though, because I mean, if you think about the sounds like Hatcher and Scream and Benga, they were doing stuff on a very high commercial level as well. Do you know what I mean? Like On a Mission, KTB, how big was that tune? Like, and like there was just no more of those. Like I find it weird that the scene just didn't separate. We didn't like bro step, and that carried on. But no, like literally, it was like, no, you're all dubstep. Fuck off out the door. Go on, get to America. Like, we don't want nothing to do with you anymore. Yeah, it's very strange.
I don't even know like what's happened with that. I mean, like, I have a friend who very much likes his like UK sort of dubstep, you deep wobbles, floors, and all that jazz, and I do. I love like our UK dubstep and that as well. But me and him can never meet eye to eye with rhythm. I try and explain to him why it's good and stuff, and like maybe show him good examples that he could get into. But then it does kind of happen on the other end of me, because, like I said, I do like a lot of the dubstep that is from here, but a lot of it as well, I can't catch a vibe with it as much as I do with a lot of rhythm, because there's lots of things going on with rhythm that keeps me interested. And not to say that there isn't with you, there's UK dubstep got loads of bass texture and stuff like that. You got your flow and all that jazz. But for me, there's just a lot more for me to latch onto, especially as like a jump up sort of heavy dubstep like artist who's and coming from metal and stuff like that as well. I feel like me liking that it's just like a natural transition sort of thing, you know, from one heavy genre to another.
It does. I've had the same thing, like you say, with rock music. For me, led to gabba led to hard drum and bass, and that got me interested in drum and bass. So it has that kind of
it's a natural flow, isn't it? Yeah.
So quick question, obviously, for anybody watching, what are the best cities in the world to see drum and bass? Answers in the comments below. Let us know. Any links to any videos you want to show us to prove your point, do that as well. Reality. Let's talk a little bit about the music then. What actually got you into producing music? You know, I know you said you was very young. Was it about 11 years old when you were doing it?
11. And I got into it. Yeah.
So what did you start with?
So like when I was 11, all my knowledge was that I just knew people made music. I didn't know how people made music, but it must be coming from somewhere. So I got my first pair of decks, and my first pair of decks was this big chunky thing, and it was the Numark CD Mix 1. So it was the all-in-one one with the little like turny CJs, I can't even think what they're called. Like little dials at the top were your decks, but they were like about that big.
Yeah, the little wheels at the top, weren't
The
they?
little wheels, yeah. But I remember getting that, thinking that everything on there would make music. I didn't realize it was just to mix music on. So I was like, "Where's all the synths? Why isn't it making noise?" And then I realized I was like, "Oh, it's DJ decks." So that's kind of when I got into DJing. But then I was still figuring out how people made music. So then I got more decks, and then I got a Numark Axis 9, and then what was the other one? A Stanton C303. So that was the one that had the like launch pads on it as well. And I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere now. So then I used to loop sounds to the point where it would just be a tone on the axis, because that had loads of effects on it at the top as well. And then I used the other deck to then loop drums from tracks, and then like play the drums. This would have been like 11, 12 hours doing this, so I was just like, oh, this must be it. And then using EQ on my mixer, then I'll just get wobbles. I'll be like sat there going, whoa, 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 on my EQ with this tone I've made on the other decks. And then I'd record all of that into Audacity, and then I'll be like, that's how you make music. And then I did that until I was about 13, and I was like, nah, this, like, I've got all this equipment, and it's giving me these results. This can't be it. So then I got the Korg, Korg Chaos Pad 2, and then that had drum machines on it. That could be synced up to a tap BPM. So I was like, all right, tap 140. Okay, I've got some drums now. I've got my axis for the effects. And you know, it was starting to get somewhere. They were starting to sound like dubstep tunes. But then I realized in Audacity you can generate tones as well. So I used to get the drum machine on the Korg and generate square waves in Audacity, and then add wah wah to it, wah wah effects. And I'm like, oh, I've got a dubstep wobble now. But then I was just sat there, I'm just like, this can't be it. This can't be it. So that's when I then did some research and then took the plunge and then got Fruity Loops. And then I was like, oh, right, this makes sense, because I was looking at all the tutorials. I was like, right, this is the shit, essentially, when I was 13. And then I think at the time I was making, it was really, I remember my first track, it was called Jump. And it was just me experimenting with the I think it was a T404 synth in Fruity Loops, and I got like a really acidy synth, and I was just like, okay, we're getting somewhere. That's still on YouTube, by the way. I think it's DJ Lemmy Jump. If you can't find it, it's the Lemmy 2910 on YouTube, and that was my old YouTube channel from back in the day. So yeah, but yeah. So then I made that, and I was like, all right, okay, this is making a lot more sense now. So I started experimenting with synths, and you know how people got rhythm synths and stuff like that. And I was getting there. I was getting to a point when I was like 14, going on 15, where I was making like sort of like early, like really early sounding rhythm, like when it wasn't even that popular, like all the like the square waves, simple drums, the whoomp, 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 all that stuff. And I was like, all right, okay, I'm you know, I'm starting to sound like people that I look up to. And then kind of got involved with more dubstep artists as I started evolving my sound more, and then they were helping me out, giving me advice to then try back on my DAW. And then I'm trying to think, there was like a point where it all clicked for me. It was probably when I was about 16, 17, when I was making my transition from dubstep to jump up. So like doing that transition, I then also learned a lot about it with drum and bass. There was a lot of things I could bring over with dubstep synthesis to jump up, because you know they're not similar, but they have similar approaches in terms of sound design and mix sound and all that. And then during that transitional period, I then thought, all right, okay, I'm still a dubstep producer that occasionally makes jump up. So from what I learned, I then took it back to dubstep, and then I think this was like maybe 17 years old. Like I then started making more and more jump up. Because it was being like reciprocated more from my friends. Because like I won't lie, like none of my friends growing up didn't really like dubstep. Dubstep's really not a big thing up here at all, unfortunately. So because of that being reciprocated more, I was like, all right, okay. I think I'll just start making this more then maybe. And then that simple thought just turned into now. Yeah.
So you had your first, well, unofficially, you had a release before this, but according to Beatport, Bewildered Productions put out your first dubstep track in 2015
Yeah.
Cat Attack. So 2 questions for you. Number 1, what the fuck you got wrong with cats? And number 2, how did that release come about?
So I think that I'm trying to think how it came about that, because that's a long time ago now. So that would have been off the back of a release that I did before that. So I released an EP before that on do you know who the Gremlins are? Or Kev or Cokes?
Gremlins is in the drum and bass producers.
No, it's in the dubstep
American.
producers.
Oh, I don't think so.
They also did an alias called The Force.
Right. Okay.
Not familiar. Fair, but they owned a label called DYB UK Records, and I released an EP called the Ninja EP before that Cat Attack one. So then off the back of that, the guy who owned that label, he was just like, oh, well, yeah, loving these tunes, loving this dubstep style. And then sent him some tracks for that EP. I think, I remember, was it a 3-track EP, that Cat Attack? I think it was Cat Attack, Arrest, and Squidward. I think with the 3 tracks on it. And yeah, like with the cat name, honestly, I don't even know why I called that, because I love cats. I really love cats.
Yeah, what's it got wrong with cats? Cats are all right, apart from when they're hungry, then they're little bastards, like. But yeah.
Or when they're running around the hall at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah. But I grew up with a cat. I'd never have one again, but I did grow up with a cat in the house basically when I was younger. So from those releases, then we saw your first Jump Up release in 2017, didn't we, on Reload?
Yes.
Was that your first drum and bass track? Was your first attempt at drum and bass? Was it? And you got it signed?
So no, unfortunately you won't be able to find it anywhere, and I can't find it anywhere either on my PC, unfortunately. But my first Jump Up track was a track called C3PO, and again, I would have made that when I was in college. But my first Jump Up track to then get released was the one on that Bewildered one, that Dumb. But then fast forward to that Reload one you're on about, that would have been my first, like, okay, this is just a Jump Up EP. And the housemates I was mentioning before in Leeds, they're the ones that did that Reload Records and gave me all these opportunities and stuff like that. So because of me just living with them, it was quite easy, because in terms of feedback, I'll just shout them and be like, come listen to this tune, say if you want to come release this. So they just come in and go, yeah, go on and sort of thing. But it was at the time, it was a very establishing release for me, sort of thing. It was like, here's the transition of dubstep to Jump Up. This is what I can do at the time, sort of thing. And I think it was, like I said before, it was like that was the first time where I was like, okay, these Jump Up tracks are sounding like Jump Up tracks now, not like dubstep sped up, sort of thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, those releases led to some pretty big ones, didn't they? In the last few years, you've been on Nemesis, OYO, Create Drum and Bass, and even Korsakoff as well, haven't you? So there's been some pretty big ones out there. Well, what's the experience been like with those labels and getting tracks out with them? Do you still keep in touch to re-release with them?
I'm very much in touch with Oyo still, because that's Clay's label, but it's also
What a great
it's
label that is. Like, I get the promos of that, and they very, very much cross over a lot of the music with like Neurofunk as well, don't they? It's really, really techie stuff.
Their style of drum and bass is like to a T. Like, if I don't know, if you were to say to me like, "Oh, Liam, what's your favorite sort of style of DNB?" I'll just be like, "Go listen to any track on Oyo." It's that fine blend of jump up and neurofunk that leans slightly more into jump up.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love that. I'm so happy that I get the promos for those releases. Like, but it is good.
No, it's good, man. It's Clay's label, but it's also co-run by Jade from Eat Brain as well. So it's kind of like a semi sister label of Eat Brain. Yeah,
learned something new. I did not know that. So that does explain a lot on the quality side of it. One thing I did notice as well, going through obviously your discography, is not that this is a bad thing, but no collabs. Like, you've remixed before, but you haven't really had a proper collab track. Is there any reason for that? I mean, you have got a very individual sound, I know that, but is there any plans to do any collaborations with other artists or anything like that?
So the reason behind that, it's very much like a me thing. Because when I'm producing, it might be selfish sort of thing, but it's kind of like one of them things where I'm like, I know what I want to do, I know what I want to make, I know what sounds I'm going to use. I'm just kind of going to do it, sort of thing. And I've been in that bubble for a very, very long time. And it's only just recently that I think I finished my first collab with someone it was a month ago. And
exclusive. Need to hear this one. Who's it with?
Yeah, it's with my good mate Clarky from Manchester. But I'm also starting 2 others as well, just because I'm just trying to come out this bubble, because it is something with me that and I'm doing one with Fanatics and Natrix as well.
Natrix, another amazing producer on the OYO label.
Yeah, Fanatics absolutely smashes it. So yeah, so it's a bubble that I've been in that I'm just trying to get out of. Because I'm very like I'm trying to think of a comparison sort of thing. I can't think of any, to be honest, but like,
there isn't. There definitely is no comparison to you, Liam. That music is individual, which is a good thing, definitely. But no, you talk about collabs. Maybe I've got something for you that I've been doing that maybe we could collab on. So maybe and for another time, I'll keep that in mind anyway.
Let's see why not, though.
Exactly. So let's flex those producing muscles, definitely. You've got a lot of good things to say about these producers. You've got a very positive energy about you, Liam. Obviously, every interaction I have is like that. You know, what keeps you obviously keeping positive like that around obviously the music? Because there is a lot of downfalls to it, being a music producer, a lot of letdowns that you have. How do you keep yourself so positive with it all?
Because in my head, I feel like when I say this out loud, it's so like oh, every producer says this, but it really is a feeling that is down to my core, where it's like I'll do this because I love it. I'm not business savvy. I'm not very professional, and I'll admit that, because really, from the day I started to now, it's all been because I just love making tunes. I just love it. And I love people around me, like you, Claire, and all the peeps that are supporting, but also making good music, because I know how hard it is, and I know the skill you guys put behind it, and I know that you guys wouldn't be doing this sort of thing if there wasn't a passion behind it, sort of thing. Because I mean, let's face it, music industry is bloody hard to traverse through.
Yeah.
So
they say only less than 1% really break through properly. Like, so it is. The odds are against you. You know,
absolutely.
You've got to love it. Absolutely.
100%. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm just constantly giddy about it, and sometimes it might come off as like sort of, I don't know, like cartoonish or fake, but it really isn't. I just love it, Lee. I just do. I really do. and
That's what I love about you,
appreciate it.
Liam. Your energy about it all is always very positive. So it's really refreshing, and it's definitely one of the reasons I wanted to have a chat with you as well, because I knew we'd have a really interesting conversation and would bring some of that energy out in this interview as well. But what are your inspirations in dubstep and drum and bass? And I mean, I know you mentioned Fanatics, Clay, but what artists across both those genres are big inspirations for you with the music that you write?
See, it's a strange one, because it's I don't really get inspired by a lot of like people within the scene sort of thing. I do. I won't say like as a nasty thing like that at all. But it's more so like things around me. But I'll answer your first question first though. Like with Clay and Fanatics, yeah, definitely. But Current Value is someone that I look up to a lot in drum and bass as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the don. He is the
He's
don.
an absolute don, because what I love about it is he does smash drum and bass, but one, he smashes it differently, and two, he also makes a lot of other things, which I really appreciate.
That is a great comparison, which I'd never actually thought of. Like, if you think of artists who are so individual, their tracks sound out in a set that nothing else. It's definitely you in Current Value. There's a couple of others, I'm sure, but like nobody's really copying you in them, and nobody does it like you and him. Now, you know, we know he's a granddaddy of it all, isn't he? Current Value and stuff. But I think it's a great thing to have. I mean, obviously, if I am to play your music, I have to play a few of your tracks in my set, because literally they don't go with anything else. Same with Current Value. But I love that, because there's nothing wrong with having a complete flip in your set just to change the tone on people in the crowd.
Yeah. Oh, totally. 100%. Like, because like something to add on to that as well. Like when like people have given me feedback in the past, like sort of DJ feedback in this in terms of the tunes, where it's like, oh, Liam, there isn't enough hats on the intro, or I don't know, the drops too crazy, there's too many switches. Like my response 90% of the time is sorry. So like, cause like I'll take feedback with mix downs and all that every time, but to cater to DJs and stuff like that, I'm just like, oh well, you know, just press play and you'll figure it out as it builds up, sort of thing. Because I don't like adding things like that into a track that's gonna pull away from it, sort of thing. Like I have a big thing with say someone plays an intro and it's instantly just with hi-hats. I'm just like, oh, sort of thing, because I like the track to sort of lean into itself and not lean into the DJ, sort of thing. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Current Value track? Is there any that stand out as your favorites?
Where is it? Oh, it was on one of his old EP. See,
We're going back to the Obscene Freak Records days, are we? Oh, that's been my favorite. Symptomless Coma is my favorite on Barcode Recordings.
I do remember that. He's a
remix. He did it. It was a remix of a Donny tune, but that is definitely my favorite.
Yeah. It was a tune. I can't remember the name, right, and I can't remember the label he released it on, but I remember what the artwork looked like, and it was that red artwork with the robot in what sort of looked like Mars, and it got released about 3 years ago.
Subsistence.
Yeah, I think so.
He was Dean Rodell's label.
I remember the tune. Yeah, it was the was it that Heli Attack or Heli?
Yeah,
or something? Yeah, I love that tune because it's just so scatty, and I love out like that, mate.
quick question for anybody out there watching: what is your favorite Current Value tune and why? Put it in the comments below. Let us know. I want to have a chat about the way I actually discovered you, and this is going to be Marmite for some. I definitely know your feelings about it, but I discovered you through your Korsakoff release, and which jumps into a crazy Makina happy hardcore style breakdown to obviously send the track out. What was the name of the track again?
Dramatic Shift.
Dramatic shift, yeah, very,
Yeah.
very dramatic shift. So obviously the Makina sound, very, very popular in Middlesbrough, up north, Tyneside.
Yeah.
What are your experiences of Makina growing up, and obviously let everybody know your thoughts on it as well?
Yeah. Oh, well, so as in my youth, I did go through that phase, you know, going down park, listening to it on your phone, Bluetoothing tunes and MC storming and stuff like that to each other. And stomping, sorry. And I did have a phase where I did like it back in school, but my palette got heavier and heavier, and then that kind of got pushed to the background. But then being around it recently, like I'm just constantly surrounded by it, with my friends making it and my friends putting on nights around it and stuff like that. And like, say you go to an event in Borough that that's been put on, like say it's don't like there'll never be like a dedicated drum and bass night. There'll never be a dedicated house night. It'll be like, oh, there's a bit of house and then Makina at the end. There's a bit of drum and bass at the start, but there's Makina at the end, sort of thing. It's always like that. So you can't escape it.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things in different areas around, you know, even around the world, like music, it has its own little pod, some styles. Like, I mean, if you go to Yorkshire, you know, you've obviously got a lot of hard house coming out of that and things, and obviously some hard style and stuff like that as well. London, you have grime music. I mean, you go to Japan, you know, you've got Makina and K-pop there as well. It's just weird little pockets of the world that obviously quite popular. I mean, did you have any Makina artists that you liked that you can remember?
So no, sorry, no. I can't name. The only Makina producer I can name is my friend who does it, and he's smashing it at the moment. Shout out Celestial. But like when I go and make Makina as well, because of my lackluster knowledge of it, he's my like go-to reference. I'll be like, right, I feel like doing one of these silly Makina like sort of switches to jump up tunes today. So I'm just gonna go to my friend and just listen to one of his tunes, because I don't really know where else to go, sort of thing.
Well,
so,
a lot of Makina comes from Spanish as well. There's a lot of Spanish producers that went on to do hard style and stuff, like what's his name, Ponteri. He was like a big Makina producer. And then obviously from Japan, you've got M Project. There was a few people in the UK from Humberside. There was a guy called Triple XL, a good friend of mine, Wayne, who was doing it. And then I believe there was like, I mean, my experience is Hangar 13. When we were in Sheffield, we went to hardcore nights called Uprising. We always heard of a guy called DJ Scott, who ran these Hangar 13 nights. So you heard of him? You heard of DJ Scott?
Yeah, rings a bell, yeah.
So he was like one of the shining kind of names in that industry. And me working in a record shop in Sheffield, I used to run a record shop called Reflex. Well, I say I run it, I used to manage it, I didn't run it.
Yeah.
But basically there I'd always have all the, because it was all, Makina was always picture discs constantly.
Yeah.
You never got black vinyl, you always got full picture disc vinyls with the Makina stuff like. So there was a lot of that coming through as well. Do you remember Uprising and Destruction? Did you ever hear of those in Middlesbrough?
No, I think the only popular sort of like Makina sort of night or movement that I've heard is, I think it's the one everyone knows about, is New Monkey in Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, New Monkey was the term, weren't it? That's like the Geordie youth culture. New Monkey was the name for Makina, weren't it? For quite a bit, and there was a club called it as well, weren't they?
Yeah. But apart from that, like I only ever really experienced it in my youth in like party sessions. I was never like maybe going up and asking IDs and stuff like that. It was just kind of background party music that then
I obviously, like I say, no, how big it was there, but yeah, we did get the odd Makina DJ playing in Sheffield at the hardcore nights. He was like chucked in between like M Zone and Marky and Producer and Paulo. So you get Gabba, Happy Hardcore, Bounce, Scouse House, because you had that Scouse House from Liverpool. The only thing we didn't really get at Uprising was obviously the other big sound coming out of Sheffield, which was like Speed Garage, completely kettle of fish. That, but there's a house producer that's quite big now that used to play Makina. Patrick Topping. Did you know he was a Makina?
Oh yeah, I didn't know he was a Makina producer.
Yeah, he made and DJ'd Makina back in the day before he become a big household name. Doing
That's crazy. That I didn't know. That. I keep seeing adverts for him on Facebook all the time, and that's well interesting. That I didn't know that.
So another question, obviously, for you guys watching: who are your favourite Makina producers? Have you come across any, or who are your worst ones? Let us know in the comments below. So, outside of music, Liam, talking about other interests. I know you do dabble with a lot of music genres, like you said. Obviously, you've got your uni work coming up. Sorry, you've just finished your uni work.
Yeah, finished it. Sorry,
finished the uni. So, tell us a little bit about what you were doing at uni then.
So I think one of the things I was definitely most proud of with uni is when I did my final year dissertation, because I did an extensive study on Mick Gordon and his techniques that he used for the Doom Eternal OST, but then to prove that I learned and incorporated these techniques, I then written I think it was like a 5-track concept album, EP, what have you? No, 6-track, and it was like that. There was no drum and bass in that album. There was no dubstep. It's all very like avant-garde electronic music at the start, and then at the end it's all like thrash metal and doom metal and stuff like that. Something that was fun and challenging to doing it is that I can't play guitar, can't play it at all. So what I did at uni was I sampled someone just playing each string, but in different techniques. So just all the way down, all the way up, different sort of strumming techniques and all that jazz, and then mix that with sort of electronic sort of guitar VSTs as well. So then I then made Fruity Loops play the guitar for me, assigned it to my keyboard and all that, and then make all the metal drums, and then just kind of play like I'm playing the guitar on my keyboard, sort of thing. So it was a challenge, that, to be honest, because I was thinking I really don't want to get someone to play guitar for me. I really want to do it. I was stubborn about my project. I was like, I want to do it myself. So I managed to find a way around that. And there was loads of, like, the beginning tracks are all very electronic, not really much instruments in them. I was in, like, what was some of, like, one of his techniques that really, really helped me down the line for my own future productions was I'll try not to waffle on about this too much because it's a big technique. Was something that he used to do was he'd get a sine wave and then he'd assign noise to it at the same frequency as the sine wave. So say you had A440, it would be oscillating at 440 hertz as well, the white noise. And then when you distort that, you get the loads of then interesting textures. You'll distort and you get the classic neuro sort of bass on it. And then what he then did with that was then compressed it loads to get sort of kick drum sounds out of it. So it'll be like that sort of coming out of it. But then what he would then have, he would have microphones near that would obviously create feedback, but then he'd then put the microphone through loads of other bits of distortion, bit crushing, ring modulation to give some really interesting tones out of that feedback. But then because of the sine wave sound being so heavy hitting with all the compression, it would push that feedback down. So when you're hearing the OST, like say you've got a bit of down combat in Doom Eternal, you'd get loads of synth hits where it would be pushing the feedback down but raising up as the sine wave stops. So it'd be going like yep, like that. And I was just like, I use that a lot.
We just got our beatbox.
You just got it there.
We got it. A lot of that is I mean, that's very interesting. A lot of that definitely flying over my head a little bit for that.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah.
No, really interesting stuff, mate. Definitely. So, you also do a bit of sculpting as well, don't you? I mean, you're very involved in the arts, not just with music, but on the art side as well.
Only a little bit. And at the moment, I've only just done it for like a few like free downloads and stuff that I've done for myself. Like there's a free download on my SoundCloud page called Cosmic Horror, and the artwork on that I did myself, and that was just, I think that was just a drawing in GIMP, to be fair. But my current logo on SoundCloud, that's a combination of GIMP and the 3D model. I'll definitely will not say that I'm a 3D model artist. I'm still very much learning, but I'm getting to good points of it now, because I don't know. I think it's everyone's ideal thing of the world to do everything yourself. But and I know that I'll eventually reach a wall with that. But I really am trying to do that as well. I'd love to just be able to have full control of everything, arts, music, sort of thing, with Lemmy Dubs.
So off camera, me and you have talked about obviously you suffering from autism and how the arts and music in general has really helped you through that journey as well. Tell us a little bit about that, Liam, and how obviously you've used this as a coping mechanism for it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's my hyper. I guess it's my hyper focus. Like I can't stop thinking about it when I'm at work, when I'm out with my friends. It's music is something that's constantly on my mind, because trying to find a way to put it, like it stimulates me. Like it's something that I obviously casually enjoy doing, but it's something that, you know, puts me down as well. Say like I've had a rough day at work, I'll come home and instantly start making tunes, and then as soon as I start, like I said, it stimulated me to the point where I kind of just forget about it, sort of thing. However, though, like I do have my downsides of it, like even with the collab thing we were talking about earlier, like I know what I want to do, and then when something interrupts that, I find it really, really hard, yeah, because it goes against my original vision of the project, the tune, what have you. So it has been quite hard to break out of that and start collabing with people. Like there was one collab that I was doing where, so like what we did is I sent him stems, he sent me stems, we make 2 tunes, sort of thing. And he was sending me ideas back, and they weren't sitting right with me. They weren't reaching what I could see that tune to be. And as much as I get it, totally get it, and we'll work towards that, it was frustrating, but in a way that I knew it was like, Liam, you know, bear with, sort of thing. But it does have its downsides like that, where I like to be in control of my creativity, sort of thing. And when that gets interrupted, it can be hard for me. And I think what I'll need people to realize with that sometimes is, like, you know, as much as it's like, well, first of all, it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. And thirdly, as well, it's like, it's just, you know, I'm not trying to be nasty, it's just something that's like proper up here with it all. But yeah, it helps and it doesn't sometimes, but not in a sense where it's ruining my life. But yeah.
Did you find when you were growing up until you was writing music that you were it was like kind of, let me rephrase that. Did you find that when you started writing music, it was almost a real good trigger, if you will, I can't find the word for it, to actually help with that? So up until that point, was you kind of a little bit all over the place, and then music kind of was a turning point for you to kind of help you to control it?
Yeah, music provided me a focus in life, sort of thing. Something to be excited about, something to be thinking about, and it's just something that I can always latch onto when things are hard for me, like with what life brings up. Like say I lose a job or something like that, or, you know, things are a bit down in the dumps. I can always, you know, look back and go, well, at least I've always got music to fall back to. I'm not going, oh well, I've got nothing to do now, I'm just gonna wallow. Like, it's something that'll always provide me stimulation and fun, I guess. Really, I
think that really is the key to life, though. I mean, not obviously just for symptoms like having autism, but key to life is finding your thing, isn't it? Finding an interest, finding an hobby. I mean, the majority of people that I speak to who don't really have something, a hobby or something that they're diving into interest wise, they generally do suffer a lot more with depression and things like that as well. For the most, I mean, I know everybody gets it, but other things like that, and it can definitely help to make it. I mean, obviously, music's a great one because you get experiences from it. Like we've been talking about crazy gigs around the world and things like that. And obviously, releasing music, and you're part of a community as well, which definitely has a plus side to it, isn't it? The music community.
I think in relation to what you're saying there, something I have, a piece of advice I have for people that want to get into like a hobby, whether it be music or something like that, is that there seems to be this sort of mindset around these creative aspects. And when you start it, you have to make a career out of it. That's it. Like, people need to remember that if you want to go make tunes just because it's a bit of downtime and you have a laugh of it, it's fine. Go do it. If it makes you feel good and it's bringing less stress into your life just because it's something fun to do, go do it. Not everything has to be a business venture. Not everything has to be monetized. Like, if you're having a laugh of it and it's making you feel good, go do it. Maybe something will happen down the line.
So let's talk about this Dirtbox release. Me and you have been planning this for a while. It's a 3-tracker, a Dissonant Artillery EP. Love that fucking name you come up with on the spot. Absolutely fantastic. Going around, obviously, the kind of war theme. And we've got, obviously, the artwork with Ed 209 as well. So really happy this has come to fruition. You know, tell me about, obviously, the theme of this release and the tracks, you know, what it is about them.
I guess it's just in a simple sense, really. It's more Lemmy Dubs, but more new, refined Lemmy Dubs. That feels more settled into the sound that I've tried to work towards for a long time, and I think it's good for you as well, Lee, in a sense where these tracks are they're very much me. They're very jump uppy, but they're also a bit of a taster of like, okay, you know, there is a little thing of neuro in there as well. So I don't know. I think it's a good body of music that fits you, portrays my sound, but also shows that there is a big development happening with me too.
I mean, all 3 tracks are very different. I find that Airstrike definitely is the Lemmy Dubs hard jump up, that Belgian sound. Phase Reality, it's almost got a roller vibes to it in a way, hasn't it? Like a techie roller vibes. And then Uncanny is just a bit mental as well. So it definitely touches on 3 aspects of your sound all round. And with the artwork, I think we had to go down the RoboCop route, didn't we, for the marketing strategy on this one. It's got to go.
Perfect. No, it's really well rounded. I think we've put in some good work with that, Lee, in the end. And
I think the marketing that we've got planned for this is going to be fantastic. Couple of music videos on the horizon as well, so keep an eye out for those. And of course, let's announce it here as well. This is not the only time we're going to be working together this year. We've got a remix from the mighty Lemmy Dubs coming on Dirtbox, and he's got a release on our other label, VTO Records, as well, which is
absolutely
fucking huge. Like this Dirtbox one, it definitely tips the scales, but the VTO one, that is I think that is the nail in the coffin.
We're not stopping this year, peeps. We're not stopping.
It's big. So any other big releases this year after the Dirtbox and VTO one? Anything else planned?
There is things in the pipeline, but I'm not sure what I can talk about at the moment, because they're very like early days sort of stages things right now. But all I can say right now is that Lee is right. We've got a release on Dirtbox, we've got a release on VTO, but there is also more things coming, people. The releases aren't stopping this year, but you'll hear about them when they come out.
Fantastic. Very, very busy indeed. Looking forward to hearing that. Of course, everybody at home, have a listen to the release. Go grab it on Spotify, add it into your playlist. And if you're a DJ, make sure you're paying for it and download Lemmy Dubs and support him by grabbing it on Beatport exclusively for 2 weeks before it lands everywhere else like Juno. Of course, in the comments below, let us know what you think about the release.
Yes.
So we're bringing this to an end, Liam. We've got couple of questions for you. Just they're a bit more fun, these questions, so
Yeah.
not as hard hitting as what we've been going through. But I just wanted to say, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and hopefully we can do this again one day.
It's been an absolute pleasure you having me on too, man. I've enjoyed this.
So let's get with these questions then. I know you're a massive fan of one of these, but do you think you could pass the test between Pepsi and Coke?
What, in terms of choosing which one? Because it'll be Pepsi every time.
Can you tell that Pepsi is Pepsi and Coke is Coke? If I was to put two of them in front of you unlabeled, do you think you could tell?
Hard yes. Like I've been drinking these for many years now. It's a hard yes, that.
We are going to follow this up. Next time I see you in person, that is the test that we're going to give you. I'm going to have one of each in a glass and we'll report back on this podcast. Have you met any famous people from Middlesbrough? Because there's a lot.
The most famous person I've met in Middlesbrough is that train driver that made all the funny announcements on the train, like all the extensive announcements.
Oh yeah, the
as far as
viral
it goes. Yeah.
Do you know any famous people from Middlesbrough?
I don't. And do you know what? Honestly,
Oh,
my culture's shocking.
Loads.
I don't know anyone.
These are some of the famous people from Middlesbrough you could have chosen. Bob Mortimer from Reeves and Mortimer.
Okay.
Vic
You're
and
gonna
Bob.
be teaching me things. Vic and Bob.
Yeah, do you know Shooting Stars? Vic Reeves, Bob Mortimer. You don't know who Bob Mortimer is?
No, you're gonna be
Oh
teaching me some Ian. Yeah.
You need to Google Bob Mortimer. Okay. Chris Rea, the singer Chris Rea from the 80s.
No,
oh my God,
I'm terrible.
You need to Google all these people. They're very famous people. The singer James Arthur. Surely you've heard of James Arthur.
So I was literally going to say because he's from Saltburn.
Yes, James Arthur from Saltburn.
Yeah.
Here's one. Now, if honest to God, if you tell me you've never heard of this, I'm going to cut you out of this meeting entirely. One of the most famous Middlesbrough people ever, magician Paul Daniels.
Oh no!
No,
I don't know. I thought you were
gonna not know Paul Daniels.
I thought you were gonna say, was it what's the name? Roy. I thought you were gonna say him, Roy Chubby Brown.
Chubby Brown's another, yes, Chubby Brown. I wasn't going to say that one, a bit controversial, but yeah, Chubby Brown. Obviously, there's another name from my youth. What about Wendy Richards from EastEnders? She was obviously very famous. I think she's died now, though, unfortunately. And TalkSport guy Chris Mamara. Chris Mamara.
Oh yeah, I recognise that name. Yeah, I recognise.
Oh my God, mate, your culture for Middlesbrough is fucking shocking. How can you not know Paul Daniels?
I don't know. I just
hang your head in shame.
So, for people of Middlesbrough, I am sorry.
Did you know Smokey Robinson says that there's an hotel called the Wynyard Hall in Middlesbrough? He says it's the best hotel he's been in ever. That's another Middlesbrough fact for you as well.
I think that's the hotel that's outside the courthouse in Middlesbrough. Yeah.
Smokey, there was like a tour in the 60s, like the Supremes, Smokey Robinson. There are loads of like Motown singers and things like that. But yeah, there's a bit of culture. Thank me later for that, Liam.
I'm
make sure
honestly,
you do some Googling on Paul Daniels. That is horrific.
Taught me a lot there. You've taught me a lot.
Listen, mate, we do have to end it there. Again, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolutely loved having you on. Cannot wait for everybody to grab this release. The Dissonant Artillery EP is out on Dirtbox Recordings. Go and grab it now. Liam, cheers, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too as well, Lee. Thanks for having me on, mate.